Yeah, man. It's either that or we can just start pulling out guns while we're live on the broadcast. James, is this something we could do to, provide quality entertainment? I hear that's what they're doing out here now.
I mean, I don't know if that's what they're doing out there. I know there's one person that's doing it like that. So, John Morant apparently can't be on live without having a gun on hand, and for him to show people that he has a gun in his possession. Like, I was thinking of Ti, big shit stopping or big shit popping. He's like, I'm something like a stalker. I'll be here where the strap be.
Yep.
Um, I am trying to find the right um the right like chord to hit for this because like I don't want to go over the top and say dummy you shouldn't have guns because I do believe that it's well within his right to have guns. I also believe that if he wants to get this fucking money, your sacrifice you have to make to get this money. Um and if that's not what you want to do, then so be it. But don't cry about why you can't, or don't you know, don't be surprised when the money says we don't want you anymore. So
I think he's playing under an entirely different set of rules than average citizen with their gun, politician with their gun, person that owns a gun to go hunt, person that does it like the thing it what thing the gun is like not the problem almost. It's like the rule violation, the lack of understanding, the habitual line stepping. Uh,
right,
the
the
NBA
context
the
the
NBA has
context that goes
set
with the other stuff he's been involved in that didn't get much light aside from these guns.
right. The NBA has set essentially like they gave him the get out of jail free card with all this before
Yeah,
essentially,
what was it?
and
10 days of therapy.
damn near like that. They everybody turned their head, dumped it all on Dylan Brooks. He had to hold everything that came in the outset of this season in the playoffs, essentially, admittedly through his bad performance, but there was a lot of airbrushing going on. John Murray, everybody was going to turn their head the other way, not bringing up those smaller incidents as you mentioned. Let alone the last time he was out here with the guns. Then there's this time he's out there with the guns, and it's just like I'm sure he's okay financially. Like he's made some money already. I'm
Right,
not
right.
necessarily worried about his 200 something million that's coming to him. I'm worried about like why can't you listen? Why don't you understand like the culture of like of just IG live and just showing off. It's like what do you gain from this? Like what was the upside here? That's what I need to be explained. Like
Okay, so for me, I have to. In my mind, I'm trying to think of like, am I being too concerned about this? Am I just getting too old when it comes to some of this? As far as the city that he plays in is known for having people getting drills, right? So for me, my concern is he's playing like he's about that stick talk, and if you act like you about it, someone is going to see, and that's my concern because ultimately we know him and care about him because he's a fantastic basketball player. Uh, and when you can set your friends and family up financially through this gift you have, there's certain things you just can't fucking do. And I understand respectability politics and the thought of a young black man with a gun scaring a certain sector of the population in ways that I think are unfair and uncalled for. And it also makes me want to be like, I need to lay off of him and the guns, and that's why I haven't got on him about this. But I'm also um, caught in a part of my concern of this shit ain't for play, bro. Like we see people, well off people, getting go to a restaurant and get fucking murdered. We've seen people with their own businesses get shot up in their own businesses. Why? Because they were famous and they were in the city or in a city. And the talk that people have had around Ja Morant's friends or who is influencing him and whether or not they're bad influences or whatnot, for me, is secondary to this building controversy seemingly every other month with him. And I'm just like, this ain't the shit you want, Miro. This ain't the shit you want. And I'm just torn between like I feel like I'm turning into, a person that is saying, hey, like these things are unfair and fuck it, you got to deal with it and change. And I'm just like, I'm at that point now when it comes to this, and I don't like how I feel or how I feel about my just gut reaction to this, and I'm just like trying to find a line in between or both sides of that, or something in between those two opposing like ideas, and that's just ultimately the main thing is like, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to be one of the handful of guys with a Nike signature Nike shoe? Do you want to be somebody that like the league can push as an exciting young face of the league? It's all up to him, and him doing this stuff clearly indicates that maybe he does, but his behavior is saying no, and maybe you got to move on from that. And there'll be somebody, behind him to take all that. But I'm just like, hey man, you have an opportunity to in a small market be like how people felt about Durant and Westbrook or feel about Giannis. You have that chance. And this shit ain't cool, bro. I just feel like this shit ain't cool. Like I understand, like you wanna be on IG Live and that stuff, and I'm like, cool, bro. Just don't pull out a fucking gun. What is so hard about not pulling out a fucking gun? I'm not even saying don't have a gun. Don't when you are broadcasting, don't show the gun. Why is it so fucking hard? And I just find it just like, on one end I'm like, that's all it is. Just don't show a gun. On the other end it's like, he flashing these guns. People gonna see about it, and I'm like, or people are allowed to see about it. And I don't want nothing to happen to do. Mm-hmm. I just don't. Right? Like this is my, I said to you, like I feel like this is like my second chance of having like a Derrick Rose or Russell Westbrook that plays the way that I would like him to play. And who knows, man? And ultimately, it's not as important as him doing that shit. But I'm just frustrated. I don't like how I feel about how I feel when this comes to stuff, and I just like, man, like lessons will be learned. Hopefully, eventually.
I think the worst thing for me is like, I know he's clearly perpetrating. Like this is a choice that he's making. Like this isn't some, yeah, man, there's no way out for me. Like this, right. There was no, there was no hope from where I was from or anything like that. It's like this man is actively choosing to wear these shoes that don't fit him. And
this is like the dude that like has the cousin that has like everything and like it wants to kick it like his cousins. And it's like
a wankster. Well, like 50 Cent once said.
I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it. And that's another part of it too. When it's just like, this ain't, we've seen people in this shitty situation. Like this ain't exactly Amari Stoudemire living out of his, living out of a car, and it's just like, I've seen people try to, say maybe this, no, it's not his background, and that's why this shit's even more perplexing.
Where are the big homies? Like
being ignored. There's no. I was saying this to somebody, like, there's no way that 449 other people in the league, nobody's reached out over the past 6 months and been like, what the fuck's going on? There's no way. He's ignoring them. He does not care. And it's like, okay, man, you're on your own. You'll learn the hard way.
Yeah, man. the Grizzlies are suspending him. I don't know from what, because obviously they were sent home in the first round. They kind of suspended themselves, one might add. But, we will keep following this and seeing what the actual suspension is going to look like, whether it's going to lead to time missed during the season, additional, counseling or anything.
One was what, 8-game suspension?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just hope, like you said, nothing happens to him and he decides to use his talent in a way that is beneficial and positive, rather than choosing this thing that he's doing. So it is unfortunate, and it is just like, how long is it? Like, I feel like the stuff that people were terrified for, like, Allen Iverson about when we were,
he's
like,
fucking doing it.
He's like, Iverson was not even coming close to nothing like this. Like,
Iverson had enough sense to be like, hey, I'm not going to show up somewhere with a gun in my hand.
It's really simple. And as far as, like, like, they are giving you all the answers to the test. They rolled out that Jalen Rose interview, this league sponsored stimulus image recovery package that they did for him. Jalen Rose wearing the wig and the extra dye in front of him, talking about basically reading off the info and then repeat it back to me now, please, Ja. This doesn't represent me. Like, all this stuff, this is like, he was given the answers to the test. And it's not that I don't have tolerance for people that don't know. I don't have tolerance for people that do know.
Yeah. And that's the part that's bothered me about this. Is just like, you have wild out too far, too much. People have, where are people reaching out for them? They reached out and gave you this whole thing where you could do the little 10-day thing and whatever else, and get the 8-game suspension, and like, whether or not there should be an open investigation for whether or not he brought a gun on the plane. That I haven't heard anything about that being brought up since after he said the gun wasn't his, which is obviously that's the way you get out of it. And it was like, okay, it's done, and then nope, got to bring it back. It's like, bro, this is so frustrating. So frustrating. But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know what's on his mind. Just hope that, like, he figures it out eventually. And it's like, how old is he, 24?
He's 23, I think. This is his 23 season.
Yeah, just figure it out.